Sorry, I realized that the recording button is not on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you mind
No
sharing
problem.
again on what is schizophrenia again? Sorry about it, Sze Jin.
No problem. So schizophrenia is a chronic brain disorder, and it has affected about 2.3% of Singaporeans at some point in their life. So schizophrenia is not something like when you're born, then you're diagnosed with schizophrenia. It's not like that. It usually develops sometime in our 20s or 30s, like early adulthood, or even in the teens, right? So between your teenage years to like around 30 years old, that's when schizophrenia typically develops for people. And also for schizophrenia, it's something that it's both biological factors and also your environment that plays a part in the development of this mental health condition. So when schizophrenia is active, so someone who's diagnosed with schizophrenia, it doesn't mean that they're experiencing all of the symptoms all the time. So there are some times where it's active and other times where it's more passive. So when it's active, it's usually what people hear in terms of, they say you can see things, you can hear things, so you can hear voices or you can see things that might not be around. Yeah, so those are like hallucinations or maybe delusions of thinking that you are somebody else. You might think, oh, I'm the queen of another country, something like that. Yeah, so those are delusions. Hallucinations are the ones where it's more active, where we see things, we see things, but they're not there. Or we hear things, things telling us to go and hurt someone or do something to another person or to yourself. Those are hallucinations.
Yeah, I do have hallucination last time. My first onset was at 19 years old, and I heard the voices asking me to throw a potted plant down the 6-story building at Singapore Polytechnic. That's where I threw it down, and then at the end, the police had to come to bring me to the Institute of Mental Health for assessment. That's where I really hear the hallucination. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, it's like the schizophrenia that was active at that point for you.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not like it's something you want to do. It's that these voices are telling you to do it. And so you think, oh wow, it's real. Then you need to take action.
Right.
Yeah. And then sometimes also there are some people who might have disorganized speech. So like when they're talking, it doesn't make sense. You don't know what they are saying. I see you smiling again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And at the same time, sorry to interrupt you, but just to say hello to Christine. Christine really say hello, ladies. Merry Christmas and thank you for sharing.
Hello. Thanks for coming.
Sorry to cut you, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah, I think it's good as I go through the different symptoms that you also can share your own experience. So then at least people know what I'm saying is something that's real, right? It's something that other people do experience, like someone who is diagnosed with schizophrenia does experience it.
Thank you.
And then another one is, so just now when I was talking about delusions, I think you shared about you having delusions as well, right?
Yeah, I thought that I'm Jesus or something like a big God and I'm here to save the world, that kind of like our Wonder Woman, that kind of thing. I had the vision that, I'm here to do a lot of things. I'm like, Guan Si Yin or anything. Yeah, I do have that kind of feeling that sometimes I really want to help people. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So again, that is like the schizophrenia when it's active, like the delusions do come about. And then sometimes you have trouble with thinking or lack of motivation to do things. Yeah. So these are all symptoms of schizophrenia. So usually with schizophrenia, it's very important to seek treatment. Right. Usually you do want to get treatment both with a psychiatrist and a psychologist. It's important to have both, right? Medication and also talk therapy. So maybe when we talk, we can go a little bit deeper into schizophrenia. Like when it's active, right? Sometimes it's hard for the person who's experiencing it to tell between what is real and what is not real. Because at that point, everything feels real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with like any illness, right? So how long the schizophrenia stay? It depends. Everyone is different, right? How severe it is, or how often it happens, also depends on each person. Like, for example, if you have a very supportive environment, people around you are very supportive, then maybe the schizophrenic symptoms are more manageable. But let's say you come from a very abusive household, you don't have the right support system, then it might be triggered very more often as compared to someone who comes from a safer and more protected environment. Yeah. And yeah.
Question, how does schizophrenia get triggered? What are the things that may trigger people to have it to become active?
That's a good question. So everyone is different. Usually it's very high levels of stress. And yeah, it's different in each individual, right? So for some person, maybe, you know, like work might be stressful, but not all the way up to the top. But maybe if you say you have work, then maybe you lost someone in your family, and then you have maybe something traumatic happen. So you put them all together, it's so overwhelming. Your mind is not able to cope with it, then it might get triggered.
I see. Thank you for answering me.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that can trigger schizophrenia. But for everyone, again, it's different. You know, I'm just talking in a very broad sense. Yeah. And also with people who have schizophrenia, usually as they go older, the severity of the symptoms slowly decreases. But this is not everyone. This is like just usually, right? But I think it's very important to continue to take like medications, because that is something that's important. But if you take alcohol or you take drugs, that increases the chances of schizophrenia being triggered.
Question about the medications. Do you think that it's really very important to take the medications that is according to the professional psychiatrist advice? Because like why I ask this question is because like recently I just went to this detox camp, and it helped us to detox our body as well as our mind. And then the sifu there, the master there, like the teacher, actually have a different perspective about medication, because like they advocate like eating the thing that is like how do I say, we won't take vegetables and fruit juice during that whole 4 days 3 nights. So like we only consume the things that is like really very gentle to our body. So like if we were to take like medication wise, to his perspective, it's like it's a bit like I mean it's how I do not really know how to put it into words, but then it's like we can actually heal our body naturally. So from this, actually I actually joined this detox camp 3 years already ago. He did mention to me to cut the medication, but I don't have the confidence, because I have been having this medication for the past 20 over years. So I want to cut it, but like recently when I just went for the recent detox camp, this is my second time, and when I went there, it's a rainforest tree house, and the monkeys came and like kind of like throw the dirty all my medication, because they open up the medicine box and then they just threw the medicine everywhere on the floor, and it's very dirty. So I was like, okay, since the monkey already kind of like spoiled my medication, I have no medication for my trip 4 days there, so I don't take my medication. During the 4 days, right, I didn't take the medication. I was like, I feel okay, but okay, I just feel certain thing which is different. Like at night, right, I will feel a bit scared. Like the feelings of scared, and then after that, last night and the night before that, I have dreams, and it's like nightmare. So I do not know whether is it because of spirituality wise, or is it because of medical wise, that I have this kind of feelings, and I want to address it definitely. Like I kind of like feeling like, you know, is that feeling coming back in a way that like, just like in September when I had the relapse, they say that, I mean, the dark force trying to enter my body, and one of the woman found leader in this that I know of, she told me that it's because like the Satan know that I'm trying to do something big, and he's trying to stop me from their perspective lah. So I was like, I do not know really, but it's just that it really, I feel that like there's something trying to stop me. Just like just now when we're doing the Facebook Live, I remember I record already, but then after you start sharing, then I realized that the recording button is not on. So like certain thing that we want to do, which is like against the norm, something like that, then I feel that the universe, there's some power trying to stop me from carrying out what I want to do in my duty to serve. That's why I have to, it can be very wide in scope, like from taking a medication religiously or not to take it, because I feel that I can do it. So what is your take on this, Sze Jin?
So for me, I think that, if especially because you said you've been taking medication for 20 over years, right? So when we take any form of medication, it does change our brain chemistry and like the different things in our body. And medication to help manage schizophrenia, I think is very important, because it really does help, especially with like the hallucinations and delusions, and also the mood, depending on what medication the psychiatrist give. If at any point you do want to reduce medication, it's very important to consult the psychiatrist first, because the psychiatrists, they are trained medical doctors, and they will understand like your brain chemistry and also how the medicine will affect you. Whereas for, let's say, even if you are going for detox, so even in the environment, let's say nothing happens, but it's because you're in a very peaceful environment. So there's not much triggers, right? So when you are peaceful, you're in the forest, you're with nature, no triggers, then it's okay, right? You'll feel okay. But we are living in Singapore. We are in this super crazy, busy, stressful environment, and you're meeting people very often, especially with your job and everything. Then there's time stresses. You have a kid stressor, so many different stresses that can trigger you. So with the medication, it's almost like that safety net. And if you or anyone else does want to reduce the medication, I would always suggest to see a psychiatrist. Maybe can I give you an example of a client that I once saw?
Yeah, sure.
So there was this client who also had schizophrenia. This was back when I was in the US. So for him, he had schizophrenia since also around like teenage years. I mean, he was diagnosed with it, and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and then I think bipolar disorder. Like there were a lot of diagnoses, and so he was taking those antipsychotic medications for many years. And he also tried to take his life several times, right? He went through very abusive background and everything, but through therapy he started to get better. So through therapy he started to get better, and he learned how to manage his symptoms better. So anytime he had like hallucination or delusions, he knew like how to manage them, how to reduce the feelings, of anxiety, how to be able to do a lot of like self-talk, and recognize that, okay, maybe this is not real. So we worked a lot on that, and also we built up his social support system, and he had more hope in life towards the end of our sessions. And from there, like he wanted to stop taking his medications, but I also told him, don't stop completely, go to the psychiatrist. So then as we continued to progress therapy, he did reduce in terms of the dosage that he was taking. So I don't know whether or not it can be like completely cut out, but at least in terms of the dosage, if there's like proper structure, like go through therapy, there's support, you're progressing in your recovery, then slowly the psychiatrist might be able to help you in terms of reducing the dosage, because you have learned the coping skills that you need to cope without that medication.
I see. So basically, it's like we really need to go for professional advice first before we actually thinking about just to cut that medication by our own, right?
Yes, definitely see a psychiatrist before you do that.
I can really feel the difference when I come back to Singapore and I start having like uneasy, and then that day I was like watching, looking at some Zoom lah, and I start to laugh at myself, like laughing at the content. I was like, this is not right, and this is not the first time I start to like just laughing away unstoppably. Then I was like, I think that this is one of the trigger to tell me that, hey, please go and take your medication now. You are not well, So I was worried lah. So I immediately go and take one, and slowly I don't feel that I'm laughing for no reason already. So I think it's really very important, like what you say, is to really seek for the professional psychiatrist advice first before we decide to stop that medication altogether, because we are not able to, who knows, if because we didn't take the medication and then things become worse, then it's not going to help. Because I remember last time one of my psychiatrists actually mentioned to me that if there's a relapse and then there's a following relapse, right, the relapse is going to be more intensified than the first one. So
yeah, that can happen, because if you just suddenly, take it off, then it's like, woof, everything comes out at the same time.
Right. Thank you so much for this insight also.
Yeah, and I think that is very important, like you shared, that you were aware. Not everyone is as aware, but that awareness is so important, because you are aware that something is not right. So then you can go and take the medication, and then you realize, now it's better. So that awareness is a very, very important and key thing whenever we have any form of mental illness or even physical health, right? We need to have that awareness.
Thank you.
Yeah. So maybe just now, as I was talking about like the different symptoms, maybe we can think of it like there are 3 different ways to categorize. So there's like the positive symptoms. Positive means added. So when there are things that are added, so like hallucination, or paranoia, or like distorted beliefs or thoughts. So those are positive symptoms, you add it. So like negative symptoms are when you feel a bit more low. So like a loss or decrease of pleasure, the loss or decrease of wanting to speak or initiate plans. So those are like more negative symptoms. And then the last one is disorganized symptoms. So this one is where you're confused. Your thinking is confused or all over the place. Your speech is also a bit distorted or confused. And then like maybe behavior that people might think are weird or abnormal. Yeah, so those are disorganized symptoms.
Yeah, so the first one is added, the second one is
taken away.
And then the third one is the
disorganized one, that's a bit more confused.
Yeah. Okay, let's explore from your perspective.
What do you want to know more?
Okay, so for the adder, right? So it's basically like the hallucination, the paranoia. I want to know, like, can you give me example of paranoia?
Paranoia. Okay, I'll give you an example. So I'll use my previous client as well as example. So for some people, right, when they might have lost someone, then they think that, like the person is still alive, or here to come and get them, or someone is here to hurt them, that there's someone outside the door, someone coming to hurt them, there's someone outside the door holding a knife maybe, but there's no one there. So paranoia, things like that.
I see. Then this one I can relate to one time when I was at 2004. That was one of my relapse. I was in Taiwan, and then I feel paranoid. Because I like kind of like thinking that below the bed in this hotel, right, this 5-star hotel, below the bed there's a red ghost in a red shirt. Is it like I just feel like scared? I don't dare to look down. So is it like that is called paranoia?
Yes, correct. That is paranoia. So like that worry, that fear.
That nothing actually it's not like confirmed it's there or what, that you just think that it's there. So that's paranoia.
Yes, correct. So it's like something that is made up, like that you are afraid of something bad, maybe something bad that's going to happen.
Right. Wow. I already feel a little bit of goose pimples like when I'm talking about this incident. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that incident must have been very scary, like it's scary, like imagining that there's some red thing like under your bed. It's scary.
Yeah, actually that time was a very, how I say, it was really a very bad relapse. So I was actually how can I say, my late father actually passed on in 2003 committing suicide. So he jumped out the flat of our house, which is like our HDB, which is like 6-story high. So the next I didn't address the grief because at that time, that was like 2003, we are still not very aware about counseling, all these things. So that was like I just do not know how, and I don't know who to go to talk to. And like my own family, we also never really discuss his death in any sense. So I just feel like very unsupported. Then in 04, right, 2004, I went to Taiwan for a backpacking trip for 1 month, intended to, but I came back after 2 weeks because I already having that very bad relapse in Taiwan. And luckily for me that I have a girlfriend who went to visit me on the 2nd week, and she was the one who go through all this craziness with me in Taiwan, and she witnessed all my weird behavior, and she was so scared. And then she was like hoping that she can bring me home as soon as we can, and then yeah, and because I really lost it. I saw like at this place is called the Zhenjiang Lu, so it's like to conquer the Jiang. Because my son is Jiang, 3点水一个宫 so it said Zhenjiang Lu. So I was like, okay, that's the road. I remember I saw it lah. And then in front there's a restaurant, and then in front of the restaurant there's a small metal chair, and below the metal chair I saw a cockroach, and I saw that the whole chair was like distorted, like bent. Then I was like, how can a metal bend until like that? I didn't know. I said, oh, and I visualized that cockroach is my father. So I was like, oh, my father is actually being like trapped here. It's like the kind of a lot of this kind of thinking, all the wild thinking, all just come by. And my friend was with me at that time. She was like, what is this girl doing? Why is she looking at the chair and then mumbling? Maybe that chair is just a normal chair over there, or maybe there's isn't any chair over there. I was just like talking to myself and talking about, Father, I'm here to help you. I'm here to bring you out of this misery and things like that. I still cannot go through that grief of my father. So I think that is one of the trigger of my relapse over there. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, thanks for sharing that. I think that actually is like confused thinking, right?
Yes, confused thinking.
Yeah, so that's also because we are talking about the 3 different things, so that's under the disorganized symptoms.
Disorganized.
Yeah, where it's confused thinking.
Yeah, so like sometimes I want to speak to people, right, like my friends, then they will say, Amy, they will always brush me off, don't talk about the past, it's over, just move on. But my intention of speaking about it is because I hope to see the picture clearer, to understand why did I behave like a reflection kind of thing. But then to them it's like, no, all this thing is past already, don't talk about it. It's like maybe I think from their perspective, they might not have the information on hand to tell me what I can maybe look at it in different ways lah. But I believe that they also have the good intention to want me to move on in life also.
So I think that's a very good point. Like in terms of when it comes to schizophrenia, I think people are afraid. So people don't really know, the general public, they don't understand schizophrenia, right? They don't know, then they think that like I said earlier, but I think it wasn't recording, that people are or crazy, and they're afraid that these people, like people who have schizophrenia, they'll be like, oh no, they're gonna hurt us, wow, this is not good and everything. But I think it's important to recognize that sometimes people might be experiencing schizophrenia, but it's not like it's all the time. And also it's better to educate yourself about schizophrenia so that they can better help, better understand, and know how to support others who are experiencing schizophrenia.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, like, look at you. You are living life just like the rest of us. Yeah, but if you didn't tell other people that you had lived with schizophrenia.
Hello, Sze Jin. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was a bit cut. Okay. If I haven't tell people that I was live with schizophrenia, people will not be able to tell it, is it?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Because my connection was a bit unstable here. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I thought it was me, so I'm like, oh no.
I thought it was you, but it was me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks. Because I saw that the Facebook you're still talking. That's like, oh, then it must be me already.
Oh,
okay. Thanks for still connected. Okay. Yeah. So I also trying to actually advocate that actually it's okay that we are not okay, and then we can always be okay if we want to do, depending on what I just feel that the lifetime is very short lah. So if you don't take action of what you really like to do in this lifetime, then it might just push and that's it, you know. So I actually, when I work, just to share a little bit more about the detox camp, there's this lady, friend, and then the classmate, and then she was like, okay, I'm going to jump. And then she's want to jump down the bridge. It's just a very short, little bridge, a very short one. Then we say, okay, please go ahead if you want to. If that makes you happy, just go ahead. Then she was like, oh, you're so heartless creature. You don't care about me. Like in today's world, I just feel that like from this incident is that this is a very chaotic world with the COVID and everything, and everyone is like struggling. And then we have no time for, I mean, we, as much as we want to help other people or even just give a bit of listening, which some people still do, and I also do hope that people who want me to listen can come to me too. But then, sometimes we just have so much on our hand. If that's your decision to want to, do that, that whatever action you want to take, just you have to bear the consequences. We cannot bear for you because maybe you just want some attention, that kind of thing. When you say that I want to jump down the bridge, then I just tell her, you want to jump, at most it just break your leg, it won't hurt that much. Then she was like, oh, you're so heartless. Then I just feel that, because if we don't learn, I mean, like, I just feel like sometimes when I talk to some of the people around me, like I can sense a little bit of like mental traits, mental health trait in them, like they are not really coping very well. But this is kind of like, it's still a very it's really like whether you want to talk about it, the kind of thing. Like some people, they feel that, oh no, this is too sensitive and this is too personal. I do not want you to know about my personal thing. But I just feel that I can sense it, that whether you, like sometimes when I talk to someone, I can sense that actually you are actually very positively, or you are very happy, contented, or you are just feeling very not enough, that kind of thing. So I just feel it, and then I just hope that I can actually use my knowledge to help more people to be happy with their life, because like really the life is very short. So like I do this Facebook Live also because I want to help this group of people, the more vulnerable group of people, to learn more about different things, like about mental health and about being a better themselves, to actually to I mean, like, just a bit overwhelmed to that it's, you know what I mean. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that like the part where you say it's okay to not be okay, that is very important because I think for most people at some point of your life, we all face maybe we might not meet the diagnosis of a mental health disorder, but we all face stress, we all face sadness, we all face grief. These are all things that we all have to go through. But then, like, I think people have made it, okay, the Asian culture has made it where it's, oh, so shy, hush, hush, cannot tell, right? But that's not life, right? In life, humans are meant to be social creatures. We're supposed to live together, be in communities, and in communities, I think we support each other. So it's very important to be able to allow other people to talk about things that that might be bothering them. And at the same time, we need to equip ourselves with the skills to be able to support them. Because sometimes people can tell us things, and if I'm not a psychologist, someone tells me about their problems, I don't know what to do. Then I think I need to fix their problems. But that's not how it is. So it's very important to maybe even get a little bit of learning of how to help people who need help. Yeah, or be able to have some resources that you can share with others in case they really do need help. So those are like just some things offhand that we can do to help people who really need that help.
Yeah, I think this is a very valid point, to have the knowledge and the resources to help when necessary. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think you also asked me like about whether schizophrenia is something that is completely curable. Yeah, that's one of the questions you gave me before. So actually, like, there's no cure for schizophrenia. Because it's both like biological and environmental things that does happen to us, right? So but for schizophrenia, like there are many people who do well with minimal symptoms. So, for example, they are able to function, day to day, except for when maybe very very big stresses happen, then there's a relapse. Usually, most people who have schizophrenia are on medication. Medications are very effective, especially for the symptoms that are psychotic symptoms. So you have antipsychotic medications to help with those symptoms, like the hallucinations and delusions. So those are important. And I also said, the mood side, there might be medication for that as well.
I'm taking 2 medication, one for the antipsychotic and one for the mood.
Okay. So exactly the things that I talked about, the 2 things, yes.
Yes.
So but on top of that, right, like because schizophrenia, like I shared earlier, it's not something that we just want to manage the symptoms. We also need to learn how to manage the triggers, and we need to learn how to manage whenever the stressors come about. Imagine every time the stressor comes about, then you get triggered again, then after that relapse. Then
tiring.
Very tiring, yeah.
I think we need to learn from Sze Jin how to manage the triggers, Yeah, let's hear from you.
So I think the very first step is awareness. Sometimes a lot of times, I don't want to say sometimes, because I think a lot of times it's really about seeking that professional help. Because even understanding how how the illness developed in the first place, like I think that is important, right? So how did the schizophrenia first get triggered? And then after that, what are the subsequent triggers that cause the relapse? So being able to understand all of that can help in terms of managing the symptoms and also managing the stress. And then once you have awareness, so usually through therapy, we help with awareness, then we teach different coping skills, but also processing the past. Maybe if there's grief or if there's trauma, all this needs to be processed during therapy sessions as well. Like unless you have a very good supportive group of friends and that you are always talking to them about all of this, then that's different. But I think not many people have that. So it's okay to seek therapy. It's okay to seek help, and not all help is super expensive. There are options where it's like lower cost and everything. So I think that that's important. And also finding like meaningful things to do in life, whether it's employment. So sometimes people say, oh, I am not able to work because of my mental health. But actually going to work, like not a very stressful job, you don't like go and be the boss or manager or something, then that is asking for trouble. But a job that is meaningful to you, right? So finding some meaningful employment, that gives you a chance to get out of the house. It gets you a chance to find some support, improve your social skills, get to talk to people more. Why I talk about social skills, I think it's also because a lot of times is when we first experience schizophrenia, it's like maybe the teens or like the early 20s during that time, then it affects you so much, like you might not be able to go to school, you might miss a few years. So then sometimes your social skills do get affected. Yeah. So that's something that can be learned maybe in employment or if you seek help from a professional. Yeah.
Yeah, I also missed 1.5 years in my poly. Like I was actually supposed to finish in 3 years. I finished in 4.5 years for my poly diploma due to my schizophrenia.
Yeah. So then there must have been a lot of changes for you in terms of your classmates. Who are your classmates, the people you hang out with?
Yeah, so different classmates at the last year. Then like I'm not like kind of like the outcast kind of thing. Like at the project that the leftovers, please come over here. Then all the leftovers will gather together to go and do a project together. Like there's no cohesiveness and things like that. But yeah.
And I think that's very challenging, right? It's very challenging to be left out, be that outcast.
Yeah, I mean like I mean like I just, for me it's like things happen, I just okay and just accept it and just go through it. Yeah, it can be actually quite, the feeling can be not very good, during that time. Yeah, I mean everyone else is in the group is also like bochap kind of. Yeah, one of them is also one of the songwriter from Singapore, from the Dreams, Meng Fei's fan. Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean like they can be very talented, but then they are like their focus is not on study, maybe, I don't know. So that time we were in one whole group together, it's like affinity. Yeah.
Okay. So at the time you all were like the outcasts
Like
together.
botache kind of.
Botatek kind.
Yeah.
Okay. But Botatek is okay. Botatek still can find jobs later on. There's always hope. There's always hope. I don't believe that, there's no hope. I think there's always hope. It's just where and how you want to
Yeah,
find
and
it.
I really agree with you about this social skills thingy. Yeah, to actually to engage ourselves in meaningful employment, because I also sometimes I do freelancing work lah. So I go to the clinic to work and I feel like this is a very meaningful connection. I got to do meaningful work. I help to register the patient, I help to give out medication and help to stock up all the medication and things like that. And I feel that this is something that show that I'm capable to do normal duties like anyone else. So it kept me going and it gave me like with the connection with my colleagues and the patients and the doctors and things and other people, I get to feel that I'm in this society lah, like not like disengaged, but it's engaged. So I really love this connection, and I really feel that like as compared to the previous time when I was working last time in a full-time employment, that I do not really know how to bring out myself lah. That sometimes I don't know how to connect with people, maybe because not trying to find reason, but it's maybe because of my inability to or maybe it's just my personality flaws. Then I create a lot of like tensions with colleagues, and then like people, there will be like some negative feelings lah. So I learned the way that actually we just have to be genuine to actually make known our intention, because sometimes people will be like, what are you trying to do, that kind of thinking. Then and I have that in my father chart. I have this type of formation that people will not understand what I'm trying to do lah. So but in this current workplace, and I would say hopefully in all the workplace that I go to in the future, that I will be able to meet people that is like able to be more compassionate and to equally like two ways, and to spread that positivity in the workplace. Yeah, I think that's very, very important.
I think that it's really amazing that you have found this working environment and type of work that suits you, where you're doing more freelance, independent kind of work. Yeah. So I think a lot of people might have fears, like especially if they experience schizophrenia, they might have fears like with their hallucinations, with their delusions, with their moods, would all these things affect their employment. And I think these are legit fears, right? It's okay that you have these fears. It's only what you do with these fears. So that's where I think the help comes in, where maybe if they don't want to seek professional help, right, you can look for support groups. You can look for other people who have similar lived experiences as you, because you can learn from each other. And finding that community is very, very important.
Yeah. And I think that like I mean a bit of self-promotion here. Like if you all want to, like if you are people out there who thinks that you have something like you want to share like more of the mentally aspect, right? You can link with me on this Coffee with Amykang, because this is the page that I created to want to gather all those people with like-minded people who like maybe mentally challenged, like maybe stress or what, that you think that you want to share your experience, like we can do it two ways lah, with each other about mental aspect. Just can private message me also. Yeah, I also got some people like after I share my recovery journey on this October 7th, how I recover from the September relapse, right? Then people come up to me and say, hey, my spouse or what, they have this sort of situation. Can you share more about how I can get help and things like that? So I offer them like caregiver alliance and things like that to go forward. And yeah, and I think that maybe a kind place is also another solution that people can look at when they are looking for some clarity in terms of the mental aspect, that other than psychiatrists, it's good to, even some people are also scared about looking for doctor because of the self-stigma. So let alone psychologists, So I want you to encourage you all here to actually be brave enough to step out if you feel that you're mentally not very sound. Okay, it's okay not to be okay. That you know you can always create the own future that you want if you want it hard enough. Yeah. So
Yeah, like thanks, Amy. I totally agree with that. That there's so many resources out there, but I think it's where to find these resources. So like this Coffee with Amy Kang platform is amazing to be able to allow other people to reach out, and for anyone who's experiencing any form of challenges in terms of mental health or maybe just life, right? Life is stressful. I think so many people, every 90% of Singaporeans experience stress,
wow.
like 90+%. Yeah, so I don't know what the other 10%, maybe those 10%, they just chill and enjoy life, which is very, very nice. Yeah.
Mm,
So it's okay, like seek help. Because even so, maybe I'll share a bit. Like at a kind place, a lot of times people think private practice is super expensive, right?
mm,
But for a kind place, we have a range. So we start off at even $60 per session.
mm,
But of course, we go all the way up to 250. So
mm,
it just depends, right? What you can afford, and then you can then choose the therapist who is within your budget.
mm,
And we are happy to help. Some people might not be able to afford as much, then we see what we can do to
mm.
help out. Yeah.
Very nice. I think this is a very good place to go to if you think that you are able to go for the sessions to give you the aspect outside of psychiatrists. So psychologist is usually one way to go for you to gain that kind of awareness that you need for your recovery. And I think, yeah, you all can think about it. And I think we have a project coming up, right? You want to talk about it? Yeah, good.
Maybe you want to start sharing first,
Okay,
like
so
our project? Yeah.
yeah, so basically next year, right, coming in January, so we are collaborating with Sze Jin on a project. Yeah, so we are going to maybe I will let Sze Jin talk more because I'm not I know we are going to do something about mental health talk and yeah.
So we want to start up a group together. And then it's not confirmed yet. Like we
Mm,
are definitely doing it. It's just the start date is not confirmed yet. It'll probably start after Chinese New Year.
mm,
Because now there's so many holidays, everyone's in holiday mood and
yeah.
everything. So after Chinese New Year, we plan to have a group. It'll probably be like a 5 weeks group.
Mm,
And we want to help people take charge of your life again,
yes.
to be able to learn to manage anxiety.
Mm,
So because stress and anxiety, like I said, there's like 90% of Singaporeans who experience it.
yeah.
We do want to help this 90% of y'all who are experiencing it. So it's a 5-week group. Come to us, like have a chat with us, see whether or not it's something that you're interested in. Do look out for details. Like details will be posted sometime early January. So then you can find out how to sign up, find out a little bit more. You'll learn a lot about anxiety. We'll talk about like how the anxious mind works, learn different strategies to manage anxiety, help you all set better boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very, very important, especially now. And then after that, how do you move towards a more valued like living? So that's something that I'm doing together with Amy. So we want to be able to help, spread the word and be able to create a community
Yes.
together.
Yes, thank you so much for having me for this project, Sze Jin. And then later on after this, right, what happens is that I'm going to put this onto my YouTube. So on that I will tag a kind place. So also on this Facebook comments, I also tag a kind place. So if you all have anything you all want to ask Sze Jin, right, any questions, you can just link up with her over here. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that Sze Jin you'd like to share?
Mm, no, but I think that like not so much. I just think that it's really, really great to be able to share on your platform. So I'm very, very happy that you have started this Coffee with Amy Kang. I think it's so amazing. Hopefully we'll reach out to a lot of different people. And yes, please feel free to come and chat with us. So especially for people who are listening to Coffee with Amykang, what a kind place would like to offer to you is your first session with us will be free with selected therapists. So selected therapists, will, if you just, drop us an email or message us on our WhatsApp, we'll tell you which of the therapists are the participating therapists, and you'll have one free session. So your first session will be free. But you must quote that you come from Coffee with Amykang, then you can get your free session.
Wow, that is very good. Thank you so much, Sze Jin, for the generous offer. Thank you so much. So catch that channel, okay? Don't miss it. If you think that you need a therapy session and you do not really know how it works and how you're going to help you, this is the right time for you to just grab a session with Sze Jin team and at the kind place, and then just keep the momentum going. And I hope that everyone who is not feeling well to recover it well and be able to lead a life of your own choice. Yeah.
Yes.
So after this, any question from the floor? Anyone, if you have any question, you can feel free to drop it in the comments box. And yeah, so far the comments is quite quiet as usual. Like every time when I come to question and answer, there's like little people who actually like ask questions. So this is something that I need to improve on. Like I want to see how I can actually let people speak up more. Maybe if you have some ideas, you can just PM me, okay? Let me know how I can improve on my Facebook Live. And then it will be on every Friday, 12 noon. Sometimes there'll be 8 p.m. session, 8 to 9. So if you have time, you can watch it live. Otherwise, I appreciate that you can also tune into the replays. And I really want to take this time to thank you, all the audience who are with us during the whole session, especially Christine Louis. Thank you for watching. I know that you're still there. And then some others that I will probably thank you after the session, because I am not able to see your name from here unless you say hello to us, okay? So don't be shy. Every time when you come in, just put a hello and I know that you are there. Yeah, I really appreciate your energy and your time here. Yeah, Sze Jin, any more words from you?
No, just feel free to reach out. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very, very grateful to be able to share today.
Thank you, Sze Jin. Okay, so if there's nothing, so there's no, I still didn't see any questions, so it's okay. So don't worry, if you still want to ask any questions, just feel free to ask, okay? And have a nice day. Have a early Merry Christmas greeting to you all. Enjoy the time with your loved ones, and Merry Christmas to Sze Jin also. Have a nice time with your mama and yeah, your loved ones. And Sze Jin, want to say anything for you?
Merry Christmas to everyone. And Happy New Year also. I wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Chinese New Year, because it's all coming at the same time.
Okay, this time you win. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Okay, and we will close the session and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.